Members of Parliament, support staff, visitors, radio listeners, TV viewers, all viewing this meeting via social media, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to the Central Committee meeting of Parliament. This is Central Committee meeting number 10 for today, Friday, January the 9th. We have established a quorum of 9 members. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have received notice of absence for the member De Wever, MP Ludmila De Wever. We don't have any of lateness thus far. Yes, I'm getting a note that we have a notice of absence as well for MP Peterson. Are there any notifications from the floor of Parliament? I do see that we have MP Doran requesting the floor, to whom I give the floor now. MP Doran?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Notice of lateness for MP York and MP Arion.
Thank you, MP Doran, and that is noted. We now go over to the agenda points for this meeting. We have 2 agenda points, namely 1, approval of the composition of the delegation and provisions for members of Parliament to participate in the so-called IPKO and Tripartite meetings. And these meetings will be held in Oranjestad, Aruba, from February the 19th through the 23rd of this year. Secondly, on the agenda is the approval of composition of the delegation and provision for members of Parliament to participate in a meeting of Caribbean women parliamentarians on January the 21st of this year in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. This is registered on the IS 469, dated December the 18th. Travel abroad, just as a note, by members of Parliament and others accompanying them must be approved by the Central Committee of Parliament in accordance with Article 4 of the Travel and Accommodation Expenses Allowance for Members of Parliament, the so-called Vergoedingsregeling Reis- en Verblijfskosten Staat in Leden. So that is why we have this meeting today specifically with these 2 agenda points. Let us quickly go over to agenda point number 1, which is the meeting of IPKO and Tripartite meetings in Oranjestad, Aruba, from February 19th through the 23rd. As I mentioned in the introduction, that is when these meetings will take place. It is customary that the 4 parliaments of the countries in the kingdom, as well as delegations, meet and have discussions on numerous issues that are of importance to all the countries in the kingdom, especially those matters on a level of parliaments. And usually a work visit will be included in IPKO meetings. It is customary that the members of the Committee of Kingdom Affairs and Interparliamentary Relations, the so-called CKIR Committee of Parliament, attend these meetings. Based on that, the proposal for the delegation to attend the IPKO and Tripartite meetings in Oranjestad, Aruba would consist of the following members: MP Shamira Roseberg as chairperson of that committee, MP Doran, MP Kotai, MP Lewis, MP Franklin Myers, MP Otley, MP Peterson, the Secretary General of Parliament, and myself as President of Parliament to participate in these meetings. And the proposal along with this is to approve the travel arrangements in accordance with the travel guidelines of this Parliament. The delegation will have to travel from February the 18th through the 24th, and of course, much of this depends on flight availability. Does any member require the floor on this topic? That is not the case, so this proposal for travel is hereby approved. We go over to agenda point number 2, and as I mentioned, it is the approval of composition of the delegation and provisions for members of Parliament to participate in a meeting of Caribbean women parliamentarians on January 21st, 2026, and this meeting will be held in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. We received this invitation on December the 18th, and the meeting is titled Catalyzing Regional Action on Technology-Facilitated Gender-Based Violence Against Women in Public Life, Supporting Parliamentary Action. And it will socialize the results of research conducted on this topic in partnership with UNFPA and ICLAC, and facilitate collaborative work on concrete tools that can be used by parliamentarians and other political actors to contribute to ending technology-facilitated gender-based violence from their unique space of influence. As I mentioned, this document can be had by members of parliament on the IS number 469. The proposal is to approve this work visit for 2 female members of parliament to participate in this work visit as per the request of parliamentarians, encouraging the participation of 2 women parliamentarians, if feasible, to enable cross-party representation within the discussion. I want to propose to Parliament, to the Central Committee, that the participation of 2 MPs be approved in this meeting, and I will then shortly have a meeting of the Women's Caucus of Parliament, of this Parliament, so that we then can further deliberate on the participation of 2 of the 4 female members of Parliament in this Parliament. Of course, the Women's Caucus could also decide to have a male colleague represent us, I would say, at this meeting, but I would propose that we leave that open for discussion rather than having in this meeting of Parliament a discussion on who, what, if. So if that can be approved by this committee, it also gives me the opportunity to bring the newer members of Parliament up to speed on the Women's Caucus of Parliament, the establishment of it, the goals, the objectives, which have been established by Parliament. We haven't had a meeting for some time, definitely not in the constellation of Parliament that we have today. So it also gives me the opportunity to kind of re-establish the workings of the Women's Caucus of Parliament. If the members can agree to that approach on this and there are no objections to the travel itself, then I'm looking to see if that is the case. I don't see that being necessary. So I want to thank the members of Parliament, and the proposal, as I mentioned, is hereby approved. Members of Parliament, we have come to the end of this meeting. I thank you for your participation, and I would hereby close this meeting. Thank you once again for your participation. This Central Committee meeting of Parliament is hereby closed.